When Walter noticed money missing from his account, he rang his bank for help, but he didn't get it. The tree lopper wasn't about to cut his losses, so he started his own investigation and tracked down the scammers himself.
Walter Van Tilburg is an arborist by trade. Taking down trees around Melbourne didn't exactly give him detective skills. But when nearly $14,000 disappeared from his bank account, Walter turned to taking on crooks and the bank.
If I didn't look at my account that day, I presume they would have drained it. They would have kept going until there was no money left in it. Why should they be allowed to get away with that?
Walter had called in the experts, Bendigo Bank, when he saw his money vanishing.
I'm sitting there noting, thinking, oh, something's pretty strange here. I haven't been to JB Hi-Fi. I remember saying to the lady on the phone that, oh, look, another one's just come out of the account.
Walter's card was cancelled, but he was told the transactions listed as pending couldn't be reversed.
She said, no, we have to wait till the money's cleared and then we can issue a refund. And you have faith in the system and thinking, well, I didn't take these out. I presume there's not an issue, you know, they'll be refunded.
But when Walter finally heard back, it was a different story.
We have determined that the transactions appear to have been authorised by you, or you have contributed to the loss by giving consent to a known user to perform the transactions.
That's an insult.
Yeah, they're telling me that I stole my own money.
So Walter did what he knows best and got on the tools, starting his own not-so-easy investigation. And he found an ally in a JB Hi-Fi manager.
She said, look, sometimes we have footage.
And they did. These two people were captured on security cameras inside JB Hi-Fi stores in Melbourne's southeast. Thanks to receipts, Walter was able to track his alleged shopping spree. The first purchase, a flip phone worth nearly $2,000. A bit over an hour later, another smartphone at another store. As the night goes on, phones keep being purchased. A few minutes later, there's more electronics. It's a total of 7 transactions for 8 items, totalling almost $14,000 and going well over Walter's $10,000 spending limit.
They managed to exceed that by $4,000. Now, I can't do that myself. It just tells me that I've exceeded my limit. So they've just gone from one to the next, maybe not to create any suspicion of how much they were spending or buying multiple phones.
Walter and the stores handed everything to police. They've released this vision of a man and woman they wish to speak to. Whoever the thieves turn out to be, investigators believe they got access to Walter's card the same day the charges were racked up, but they're still not sure how.
What would you like to see happen to the people that were behind stealing this money from you?
Name and shame would be a great thing.
Speaking of, when Walter went public with his story, suddenly Bendigo Bank had a change of heart, refunding all his missing money.
I can see the bank obviously don't want bad publicity, but really should it have to come to that? I think the bank make plenty of money in other areas and this is probably a drop in the ocean for them.
In a statement, Bendigo Bank told A Current Affair it
attempts to recover funds lost to scams wherever possible, and it goes without saying when the bank is at fault, we will reimburse customers for the loss of funds.
But after 20 years, they've lost Walter.
Disgusted in their service, especially being accused of stealing my own money. I don't think I've ever stolen anything in my life.
Walter wants our banks to be held to the same standard as those in the UK, where new laws are forcing the companies to repay their customers within 5 days if they're victims of fraud.
A lot of the older generation would have no idea where to go. Most of them don't even know how to use their computers. Yeah, so leaving it up to the customer is incompetent.
Christopher McNaughton spent more than 2 decades as a detective. He now specialises in data risk and agrees Aussie banks aren't doing enough.
In most cases in the UK where there's a fraud, the customer is repaid within 48 hours. That's very different here. So in Australia, what we see is that the onus is very much on the customer. They're not compelled to do anything, so they do as much as they need to, but not much more.
He believes legislative change is the only way to force banks to hand back money or lose it themselves, and to be far more proactive when it comes to protection.
there's $1 in it for them. So they're saving money by protecting customers, putting in proactive systems where they're identifying odd transactions, stopping transactions would certainly protect victims a lot more.
Walter's a long way from having full trust in the banks again, but he's got some tips for your savings.
One lesson I have learned is if you have an account that has a card and you have people and there is money in that account, put it into an account where it's not accessible by a card.
And he hopes all the banks are paying attention.
If they're making money out of it, give us some service with it as well.
Well, isn't Walter a legend? And despite his efforts, police have confirmed no arrests have been made yet, but their investigations are ongoing.